Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Alan Pardew makes Liverpool Alexander Isak transfer claim and explains Newcastle problem. Liverpool may have shelled out an initial £100 million for Florian Wirtz and an initial £69 million for Hugo Ekitike as part of a huge summer transfer splurge. But their biggest and most significant deal could well be yet to come. The Reds romped to the Premier League title in Arne Slot's first season in charge. But it appears the head coach and the club's recruitment team, led by Richard Hughes, have no intention of resting on their laurels. The champions have committed close to £300 million on new signings this summer. It is a massive outlay headlined by the capture of Wirtz, whose move from Bayer Leverkusen could eventually cost £116 million. That would be a British transfer record. But it's clear that Liverpool would have to smash the record before then if they are to land Alexander Isak this month. The Reds saw a £110 million bid for Isak rejected by Newcastle United last week. The Sweden international has informed Newcastle of his desire to seek a fresh challenge elsewhere, with the Reds understood to be his preferred destination. Reports have also suggested he has no intention of signing a new contract at St. James Park, with 3 years left to run on his present deal. The 25-year-old missed Newcastle's tour of the Far East due to a minor injury, and was instead spotted training in Spain with a personal instructor. But he has since returned to the Magpies training ground amid a warning from boss Eddie how that he must earn the right to rejoin the first-team squad. Liverpool have no plans to make a second bid for Isak as things stand, but they haven't ended their interest and are keeping a watchful eye on developments at Newcastle. Amid that backdrop, former Magpies manager Alan Pardew has been having his say on the situation. "I wouldn't say it's inevitable, but it looks like Liverpool are playing the game," he said on TalkSport. "There are not voices coming out of Liverpool saying we're not interested. Let's just park that one. It's rumbling on and it's massively unsettling for Eddie, the fan base and ownership of Newcastle. At some point, I would expect them to dig their heels in and say he is not going. I think that might happen, actually. My theory on this has changed. I think Newcastle are going to dig their heels in a little bit and get him back into work, get his head around it. He probably won't be there for the first 2 or 3 games, but that is the route to go. I had it with Johan Cabaye. Arsenal came in for him and we didn't accept the bid. He was on the verge of going on strike, he didn't want to play. This was in the January window. It does make it really difficult, but eventually his head got around it and he was back to playing at his best. I expect Isak to do that. The one thing that worries me about the Isak one is the rumor that it sounds like his team or management group put it out that he went into the club last year for a new contract and it didn't happen, and that's where the grievance comes. If that is what he's carrying, like "I'm done," then they have got a problem. The Magpies have been looked to boost their forward options. However, they have suffered a number of disappointments, with their latest set to be Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle offered a higher package than Manchester United, £65.3 million plus £8.7 million in add-ons, to RB Leipzig, but it has been widely reported that the Slovenia international prefers a move to Old Trafford. Alan Shearer's final Premier League table in Major Liverpool prediction. Alan Shearer has given his predictions for the upcoming Premier League season, suggesting that Liverpool could retain their title and newly promoted teams may struggle. Last season, Liverpool's dominance was clear from the start, with no real competition for the title. Their significant spending, including the British record signing of Florian Wirtz, indicates a strong desire to win consecutive titles. The potential addition of Alexander Isak to Anfield further strengthens their position, leading Shearer to tip them as champions once again. Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland have all made their return to the top flight, but will be keen to avoid the recent trend of immediate relegation. Despite this, Shearer predicts that all 3 will only enjoy a single season in the Premier League before returning to the Championship. This would mark the 3rd consecutive year that all promoted teams fail to secure their place in the top flight, highlighting the growing disparity between the 2 tiers. Arsenal are predicted to finish 2nd for the 4th consecutive year, a prediction that is unlikely to please Mikel Arteta. Despite significant investment, including the addition of Victor Gyökeres as their number 9, they may still fall short of the title, increasing pressure on Arteta. Manchester City had a disappointing season last term and face a year without Kevin De Bruyne for the first time in a decade. Despite bolstering their squad, Shearer does not believe Pep Guardiola and his team will reclaim their crown, instead placing them third in his predictions. Their cross-city rivals, Manchester United, hit a new low last season and have brought in some notable attacking names as Ruben Amorim aims to significantly boost their fortunes. The pundit predicts an improved year, but not one that sees them return to the Champions League. Instead, he believes Chelsea and Newcastle, two clubs with vastly different experiences this summer, will both finish above United. Newcastle's season may depend on whether Isak stays or if they can secure a top-tier replacement. Chelsea, on the other hand, have had no trouble bringing in attacking talent. Last year's surprise package, Nottingham Forest, will need to balance their domestic efforts either in the Europa League or UEFA Conference League. Their fate hinges on the outcome of Crystal Palace's appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, for a place in the Europa League. This will be a new challenge, but Shearer still believes they will remain a top-half side. Tottenham have entered a new era, dismissing Ange Postecoglou despite his European success. Thomas Frank has a difficult task ahead, but Shearer has backed them to finish 8th, just behind Aston Villa. The Midlands club have benefited from having Unai Emery at the helm, but with so much competition at the top, they've been tipped to fall again. Brentford now have Keith Andrews in charge and are predicted to narrowly avoid relegation, finishing just above the bottom 3 in 17th place. West Ham have also been tipped to have a challenging year, despite Graham Potter getting his first full season in charge in London. For clubs like Everton and Palace, it's another year of secure mid-table football. Fulham, Wolves and Bournemouth are expected to stay relatively safe. Brighton, sitting at 10th, might have anticipated more under Fabian Hürzeler. Liverpool dream starting 11 versus Crystal Palace with Alexander Isak decision and 5 debutants. It is only a matter of days until Liverpool kickstart their 2025/26 campaign. Arne Slot's side travel to Wembley Stadium to contest the Community Shield as reigning Premier League champions, facing last season's FA Cup winners Crystal Palace for the honour. The Reds have been building up to the new season with friendly victories against Preston North End, Stoke City, Yokohama F. Marinos and Athletic Club, plus there has been defeat to AC Milan to learn from along the way. Several new summer signings as part of a near £300 million transfer haul have been able to play their first minutes in those fixtures. Slot now has the opportunity to hand out competitive debuts as the Echo considers 5 new faces part of a dream. Strongest 11 that Liverpool can field on Sunday. Impressive in pre-season has been midfielder Florian Wirtz. The midfielder is unfazed by his £100 million, potentially rising to a British record £116 million price tag, and has proven he is ready to go from the offset with his first goal scored against Yokohama. Similar can be said for fellow attacking influence Hugo Ekitike, with the Frenchman having assisted Mohamed Salah on his first Anfield outing versus Athletic Club on Monday. In defense, Slot appears to have given the game away that new fullback signings Jeremy Frimpong, purchased from Bayer Leverkusen for £29.5 million, and Milos Kerkez, bought from Bournemouth for £40 million, are going to be his pairing moving forwards. At least in the Dutchman's case, taking a spot in the team for the Community Shield looks to be no sweat off his back as Connor Bradley missed the latest pre-season fixtures due to a minor injury. For the Hungarian, he is battling both Andy Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas for the left-back berth, and he beat both to starting in the second of 2 friendlies against Athletic Club, which featured a more senior side. And whilst it may be the true dream scenario to see Alisson Becker restored in goal, the goalkeeper has missed 4 pre-season fixtures. Reds fans will still easily be excited to see £29 million arrival Georgi Mamardashvili make his first competitive start, as seems the most sensible option given the Georgian international has the most minutes in the tank of the two. Now, there remains the question of a 6th Reds debutant with 3 days to go until the big game. With just about enough time and obvious interest from the club, there remains potential for Alexander Isak to sign for Liverpool from Newcastle United and make his first start at the end of what would be a whirlwind period. For his 62 goals and 11 assists in 3 seasons on Tyneside, you'd have to consider the striker a dream starter in any instance, but at the same time there are so many moving parts that make the likelihood next to zero, for the Community Shield at least. First off, Liverpool have not lined up a return offer after their first, worth £110 million, was rejected immediately last Friday. Newcastle are then yet to sign a replacement and appear to be losing the battle to land latest top target Benjamin Sesko. Meanwhile, Isak himself is midway through recovery from a thigh issue that has meant he has been unable to play at all this preseason. Slot would then have the pick of his existing pool of Reds Premier League champions to take on FA Cup victors Palace. Rounding off a three-pronged attack would be Salah and Cody Gakpo, who has the opportunity to become the definitive left winger of this team now Luis Diaz has departed for Bayern Munich. Also making these two an obvious choice is the fact Darwin Núñez appears to be closing on an Anfield exit. In midfield, Ryan Gravenberch can be utilized to full effect as the Dutchman is only set to serve a one-game suspension in the Premier League opener versus Bournemouth on Friday, August 15th. This was earned for a red card on the final day of last season, coincidentally versus Palace. And in a battle for the remaining spot between Alexis Mac Allister and Dominic Szoboszlai, the latter just edges the fight owing to his impressive preseason run since being pushed further back into a number 8 role because of Wirtz's arrival. Plus there is the fact Mac Allister has contended with injury recovery this preseason. To finish the Dream 11 with a central defensive pairing, Virgil van Dijk recovers from the illness that kept him out of the Athletic Club doubleheader and takes the captain's armband to fit alongside Ibrahima Konate. Thanks for watching. Like and comment and subscribe.